the stage Joe Clancy and members of the Voss family.
I'm going to give the rest of my time to Sunshine. As Tom touched on, we lost Tom too soon, and this wasn't supposed to go like this. He should have been a Hall of Famer 10 years from now after training another champion on the flat, some more grade 1 winners, a champion over jumps, whatever. And he would have come up here and told a half funny, half grouchy, kind of hard to understand speech. And he'd have been nervous, he'd been outside smoking a cigarette, probably chewing on 5 or 6 Altoids, and then wipe his brow with a red handkerchief and come up here and go, why are we doing this? We gotta check the fans, and the horses need this, and we gotta do that. It would have been great, and it would have meant a lot to him. He'd have been way more emotional than you thought, and that's the only thing missing here. It's kind of cool to see him go in, and a very honored thing. He had told some great stories about some old horses. We saw some there, but he'd have gone back to Wild Sir and Cooper's Rose and Cookie and some other old timers that ran on the flat and over jumps, and then all the way up to the John's Call and stuff, the way the horses you know a little better. But he died in 2014, and he kind of left everybody else to carry on, steeplechasing, Elizabeth's training the horses, and you miss him, you miss seeing him out there, but it's fun to see the tradition keep going. And when Mimi asked me to make the speech, I told her I'd be honored. I also said I was probably scared to death because I could hear him going, Fancy's making a speech about me. And I told somebody the other day, Javier asked me about the speech, and I said, it's one last chance for Tom Voss to make me uncomfortable. So, we started steeplechase times in 1994, and Sean and I would flip a coin over who had to call him, because it was just, you get kicked around. Eventually we kind of won him over, and you could get him talking, and that was the best part. You kept asking about horses, kept asking questions. And eventually I got to know him well enough, Mid-Atlantic Thoroughbred asked me to write a feature on him. They're like, we want his life story, and I was like, okay, we'll see how we do. And I went to the farm, I spent all morning at the farm, watched the horses train. We got in the most beat up pickup truck I've ever been in my life, with about 6 dogs and everything else. We watched all the horses train. I took all kinds of notes. I went back, transcribed all the notes, looked at stuff, and realized I had very little about Tom Voss. I had stuff about Gettysburg and the Titanic. But anyway, I wrote the story, and it literally had one quote from Tom Voss in it. And it came out okay in the end. Everybody said I captured him, and I'm still not really sure how, but at least I did. And for me, the best part about him was talking about horses. You could talk to him about his horses and get him talking about John's Call, get him talking about those old horses and what they meant to him. And there's one that people in flat racing might not know as well, Florida Law, which is my favorite Tom Voss story. Florida Law ran him around Hunt Cup 7 times. It's a 4-mile race with 22 fences. There's a lot can go wrong. He never fell, but he endured some of the craziest losses you ever heard. He lost by a nose when a horse broke the course record. His jockey came off the last fence, and then he finally won on a 6th attempt. And Tom was so proud of the horse. He really didn't care about that. He had trained around that winner. He was so proud of the horse. He was also his fox hunter, and just a horse he cared a great deal about. And he pulled me aside, which again, he never did. I mean, it was like an interview. The interview's over, let's go. But he pulled me aside and started telling me a story about going to check on Florida Law the night before the Hunt Cup. And he's feeding him carrots, and he said, this horse looked at me last night. He told me he was going to win the Hunt Cup. And I didn't think, Florida Law didn't literally speak, but they communicated, and it was amazing. And that part, and that's what made him a good trainer. He communicated with horses like Florida Law, and they talked back to him. And I'll never forget that. That's a rare thing to have a trainer tell you about the bond or relationship with a horse at that level. And it was a really cool moment. We talked to lots of people, and somebody kind of put that together, put it in perspective. Tom was great with kids. The best interview I ever got out of him was with my son Nolan, who was probably 10 at the time, and Tom was on John's Call, and Nolan was asking questions. And he asked him, you ever get tempted to kick him in the belly and see how fast he goes? This is 5 years after he retired, 10 years after he retired. And Tom said, he'd probably love it, but I don't think it'd be good for either one of us. And I did an interview with Jack Fisher, who worked for Tom. Jack will tell you a story about Tom giving Jack his first barn, which was a shed out in the field. He said, you can have it. You gotta take it apart and move it, but that's what he did. And it wasn't much barn, but it was a lesson. And I asked Jack what he learned from Tom. Tom said, or Jack said, work hard and pay attention. And Tom worked hard and paid attention all the way to the whole thing. So on behalf of the Voss family, thank you.
Joe's a lot better at this than I am. On behalf of myself and my family, I would like to thank the Steeplechase Review Committee and the Racing Museum for bestowing this great honor on our father. I'd like to also congratulate the rest of this year's inductees. We're here today to recognize my father's success and accomplishments in the world of horse racing. But to me, his legacy will be what he gave back to this great sport, mentoring young riders, future trainers, and inspiring generations of horsemen and horsewomen. Most of all, though, he loved the animals. He dedicated his life to horses. Tom Voss was a larger-than-life personality, and he left his mark on many of us in this room. We are so proud of him today and grateful